The 40% heat-saving tent method used in World War I is one of the simplest cold weather survival techniques ever documented, and it still works today. During the winters of 1914 to 1918, soldiers on the Western Front faced relentless cold, damp ground and fuel shortages. There was no luxury of heating entire barracks or tents continuously. What military engineers and infantry units learned very quickly was that survival depended on trapping body heat, reducing air volume, and controlling drafts. From those constraints came a method that modern testing would later confirm could reduce heat loss by roughly 40% when applied correctly. This was not theory, it was daily practice, refined under extreme conditions, and it translates perfectly to a single room in a modern home. The ground was treated as a major source of heat loss, not an afterthought. World War I soldiers knew that cold ground would drain body heat faster than cold air. Straw, wooden boards, spare clothing, and even newspapers were layered beneath sleeping areas. Raising the body off the ground was standard practice whenever possible. In today's home, the same logic applies. Cold floors, especially concrete or tile, act as heat sinks. Rugs, folded blankets, foam mats, or even cardboard placed under chairs, beds, or desks dramatically reduce heat loss. If you spend evenings sitting in one spot, insulating the floor beneath that spot will have more impact than raising the thermostat. Heat sources were positioned low and central to the enclosed space. Small heat sources were useless if placed near tent walls or openings. Soldiers positioned candles or braziers near the center of the inner enclosure, allowing warm air to rise and circulate within the confined space. Even body heat was concentrated by seating men closer together. For a modern room, this means placing heaters, hot water bottles, or even a simple incandescent lamp inside the enclosed area, not outside it. A small electric heater inside a curtained-off zone will outperform a larger heater trying to warm an entire room. Hot water bottles placed at foot level inside a sleeping enclosure mimic the same heat distribution soldiers relied on. Condensation management was part of the system, not ignored. Trapped heat produces moisture. Soldiers learned to leave small controlled vents at the top of inner enclosures to allow damp air to escape without creating drafts. Failure to do this led to wet bedding and dangerous cold once temperatures dropped further. In a modern application, leaving a small gap near the top of curtains or tented areas prevents moisture buildup. This is especially important overnight. The enclosure should feel warm, but not sealed airtight. Controlled ventilation preserves comfort and prevents mold. The method worked because it was flexible and quickly adjustable. One of the strengths of the World War I heat-saving approach was adaptability. Soldiers adjusted enclosure size based on weather, available materials, and number of occupants. At home, this flexibility is key. During the evening, you might enclose only a sofa and coffee table area. At night, you shrink the space further around the bed. In the morning, you open everything back up to allow airflow and daylight. Applying this tonight in one room is straightforward and historically accurate. Choose the room where you spend the most stationary time. Identify the smallest area you actually use. Hang a blanket or curtain across the doorway. If the ceiling is high, suspend fabric from hooks, rods, or even string to lower the effective ceiling height over the occupied area. Lay insulating material on the floor. Position your heat source inside the enclosed zone. Sit or sleep within that space, not outside it. People often underestimate how dramatic the effect is. Within minutes, the temperature inside the enclosure rises noticeably, not because more heat is produced, but because less heat is lost. This is exactly what soldiers experienced in draft-ridden tents over a century ago. This method scales from individual survival to family living. World War I field hospitals used the same principle on a larger scale, creating warmed treatment zones inside unheated buildings. Families today can do the same in living rooms during winter evenings. A shared enclosed space reduces heating costs while increasing comfort. Children, elders, and pets all benefit from the concentrated warmth. The value of this method lies in its independence from modern infrastructure. Soldiers used what they had. No electricity, no central heating, no advanced insulation. That is why this technique remains relevant. Power outages, fuel shortages, rising energy costs, or simply cold winters make this knowledge practical, not nostalgic. What worked in mud-soaked trenches works in modern homes because the laws of heat transfer have not changed. This is not a comfort trick, it is a proven thermal strategy. The 40% figure often cited comes from later thermal testing, but the real proof was survival itself. If you care about historical knowledge that still earns its place today, this is one technique worth mastering and sharing. If you found this breakdown useful and want more practical history that still works in the modern world, subscribe to Living Through the Seasons, share this with someone who feels the cold every winter, and keep these methods alive by using them.